Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Funky Marketing Podcast. This time we are doing something a little bit different. We are starting with Funky Marketing Top Voices, and today I have a pleasure to interview the first person from the list. So I hope I pronounced it right, like Sara Pion.
Pion, you were so close.
Pion. Yeah. In Serbia, we basically pronounce everything as it is written. So sometimes it can be.
If no one gets it right, it's totally fine. Celine Dion really ruined the pronunciation for us, so it's all good.
Yeah. Maybe that was it. So we kind of we will do this a little bit different than how we do it usually on the Funky Marketing Podcast. So we have a list of set of questions that we want to go into and kind of go a little bit deeper than just like marketing, than just business. And so we're going to start from the childhood, but first, Sarah, please introduce yourself. Tell the world who you really are.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah. I live in Boston. I was born and raised like right outside of Boston, so we call ourselves massholes. I'm just, a big East Coast girl. Went to college in upstate New York, then came back down. One of three girls. I'm the middle child. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and have been doing marketing for like 3 years, maybe a little under 3 years. And yeah, I've been liking it.
Nice, I like it. I think you're familiar to me from that period when you were in Drip.
Yeah. So I worked at Drift for almost 3 years, and now I'm over at Alyce.
Yeah, probably like that. I remember when we ordered conversational marketing book while I was working as director of operation in another agency, and like 2 weeks after we got the book that one scale. It one scale. So it was like, well, like they actually sent it 2 weeks after on their own expense, and I was like, man, that's how you do it by the book.
Yeah, that was a busy time, but it was really cool. It was really fun.
I guess it's interesting, like working in a startup, learning tons of things, especially in a startup that is growing the way that Drift was growing. So yeah, let's start from the childhood, as I mentioned. So what was your childhood like? How did you grow up? In my case, I was like living only for basketball and for reading books.
I was also a big book reader. So my childhood was great. I liked it. I had a fun time. As I mentioned, one of three girls, middle child. And I feel like there are two different genres of middle children. They're either like the problematic ones or the ones that are the least problematic and kind of fall under the radar. And I was the least problematic one and fell under the radar a little bit. So did a lot of reading, was really close with my friends. My family, we were very involved in our local Jewish temple. So like my mom ran the kitchen, my dad was part of like the brotherhood, and we went to Hebrew school for 13 years and would just like wreak havoc in this temple and like run around and entertain ourselves. We also played a bunch of sports. My dad didn't play a ton of sports growing up, so he enrolled us in all of them when we were kids, and then also was the coach for all of our teams. So he really liked to be involved. So Saturdays would be like basketball, figure skating, and like soccer, like all at the same time, even though those are like kind of different seasons, but like somehow they all fell on the same day. And so we were just like out and about all the time. I think we're all kind of ADHD, so it helped just like tire us out during the day so that we could come home and like not bother our mom.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Like I had another case. Like my father was a basketball coach, so I kind of learned to love basketball. Besides him and me and my sister, we were both like training basketball and going after. I think I trained for like 12, 13 years of my life spent like playing basketball and learning tons of things. And at the time, like in ex-Yugoslavia, it was the only chance to actually travel because there were sanctions. We couldn't travel outside of the country. So like I was lucky basically for playing basketball and being able to travel inside the country.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of things that spark our creativity, but they aren't really cool if you're not looking at them from the child perspective. You
Yep.
know, like
Definitely.
yeah. So okay, so you're somebody who did so many things, tried like different sports, does different things, and from kind of a different background that what I have, and maybe a lot of other people. In that way. So, what was your first job? Actually, it doesn't have to be like full time, but when did you actually earn something, sell something, or like involved in anything?
Yeah, I think in 8th grade I started babysitting. We were big camp kids, which goes along with like getting out of the house so that we don't bother our parents. And so we were always around kids that were younger than us. And like I have a younger sister, so I started babysitting like her friends essentially when I was in 8th grade. And then there was like the temple community who everyone had a bunch of young kids. So like ended up just babysitting like a few different kinds of families. That was like my first job where I like got paid. And I remember my dad like sat me down and taught me how to budget my money now that I was earning it. So then I like bought myself my own laptop. It was like a tiny like netbook, $300, like one of those things where you can like only, it was kind of like pre-Chromebook. It was just like small and like kind of shitty, but like I got to pay for it all by myself and my sisters didn't get to use it because it was mine. So that was like the first thing that I bought with like my job money. But like then actually being on payroll somewhere, I was like I worked at Bruegger's Bagels in like freshman and sophomore year of high school, making sandwiches. Worked on junior prom is quite a time. Learned a lot. Worked on Thanksgiving. All the things that you learn in food service, I started in Bruegger's, and then like worked in restaurants through high school and college as well. Just once you start working, you can't stop because now you learn like, or at least this is what my parents taught me, of like once you start making money you're responsible for paying for like your phone bill or for whatever. So like if you didn't have a job you had to dip into your savings to pay for those things. So yeah, once we started babysitting we didn't really stop working.
Yeah, sounds familiar. Like I love these kind of questions because many people have different kind of answers and people have done so many different things. We all have like different backgrounds and we all grew maybe in the same way but started in a different ways, and it's always like uh, nice to see like, oh, this is how Sarah started actually her journey, or someone else. And I like that. And tell me, when it comes to all of that, now I like to say that you are not even close to fulfilling your full potential when it comes to work. But what were some of the tough things that you experienced during your growth?
I think my parents did a good job of like teaching us work ethic, uh, of like you need to go do a job and perform it well. Like it doesn't matter what level you are, just go and do it. And I think working in like the food service specifically taught me a sense of urgency of like you're not really working on your timeline, you're working on someone else's timeline, specifically the customers. uh, and I think that kind of like seeps into how I work today, which is like very much so like I am an executor, which I'm like trying to work on to be a little bit more strategic, but like I can get shit done all day. It's like taking a step back and like looking at it from a higher perspective that I am trying to like focus more time on. I think also just like that empathy that comes with dealing with people's food. I'm just like having an understanding of the customer, even if you're bussing tables at a restaurant or you're hostessing and you're just making small talk from the time that you like walk someone to the table to the time they sit down, uh, and and all of those kind of moments in between is not something that you think you're learning when you're working in a restaurant, but like the minute you look back on it, you kind of say, and you can see like, oh, okay, I was applying these concepts to my work. Like this is now, I can see how this helped me to be where I need to be today.
I love that. I love that. I mean, I used to think, I used to see actually how some of the things that I didn't even connect to working in the business environment can be implemented. And like my background is in non-formal education and like non-profits. So I first learned how to value other things than profit. And then I got into the profit, like, okay, I can actually sell everything. So I got into this, and like management and leading the teams, all those kind of stuffs, I learned by organizing huge summer camps of like 200 people from 18 countries. And it's like totally crazy when you learn how to handle that and to get their feedback. You can do it with whomever.
I love it. Yeah.
On the other side. Yeah. And so when it comes to that, like, did you have your biggest challenges when you started to work, or they came a little bit later when you like grow into the role that you are now, or where did it happen, and what was it?
Yeah. I think like the difficult days are very different between like working the takeout window at Legal Seafoods. I had a lot of restaurant jobs. It to like being a marketing manager. I think like the bad days at the takeout window was like there was a big order that came in at the same time as a small order, and we accidentally packaged the small order in with the big order, and then the people who ordered the small thing was very upset. Versus today, I feel like my challenges stem mostly from knowing where I want to be and the impatience that comes with that of I want to do that thing, and I know that there are 17 steps in between where I am now and getting to that thing, and like why can't I just be doing that thing right now? But also then encountering those 17 things that I need to do and figuring out that they're way harder than just saying them out loud and actually having to execute on them. Uh, on on top of also like trying to build a personal brand and taking on side projects just so I can get as much experience as possible. But now I think that my like biggest struggles are time management, understanding where my priorities are for that end goal, and then like saying no and being able to measure the opportunities that I could potentially have. It's like a little bit uh like analysis paralysis of there's like so many things that I could be doing. Like, how do I make sure that what I'm doing is the right thing? And what does the right thing actually mean? And how is it defined? And like, why aren't I there right now? And like, also calm down. You're only 25. You have time to get there. So that's like a little sneak peek into my brain on a daily basis. It's terrifying.
No, I mean, I like it. We all been there. Actually, I hope that other people have been there. But like, one thing I'm interested in, like when you say you're doing a lot of things, I guess you're sharing all those new learnings and things that you are learning with other people from your team or around you or wherever. Do you have a problem with expecting something out of them when you do it? Let me just give you a background. Like when I first became the GM, I was the last one that came into the company, like 15 people at the time, and uh, I did it because I did more than the others. I shared every step of my way with the others, but when I became GM, I needed to get that mindset that not everybody wants to be leaders or wants to be where I am, but they just want to work like 8 hours, go home, do a decent job, and that's okay in some cases. Like that triggers other questions like, do you want them in the company or no, based on your goals? But from their perspective, that's just perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think that's I encountered that more at Alyce than I did at Drift. I think Drift did a really specific job of hiring people with energy who were super excited to be there, super bought into the mission, ready to work really hard, like a little bit of a homogeneous type culture because everyone was a little bit type A. It was a very diverse company in terms of like backgrounds and all of the like all of the general diversity metrics, but I think the like mindset was a little homogeneous of like, we are all very driven type A people who work the specific way, and it works really well for Drift because they have hype and their hyper growth and their like their drift. That's what their brand is. I think moving to Alyce, a company that I say hires for empathy, so Drift hires for energy, Alyce hires for empathy, that comes with people who have different energy levels for different things in like life, just in general. And so it might not be their work properly that gets them fired up, but it's what they do for DE&I, or what they do in relation to being a working parent, and like sharing how that flexibility affects their life, or inflexibility affects their life. There are different like things that pump these people up. And so I think moving to Alyce opened my eyes a little bit to understanding that not everyone is going to be like super type A, bought in like 120% to their exact job or the exact company, but there's something else that gets them fired up. And like figuring out what that is so that you can relate to them from 9 to 5, but also so that you relate to them more as like a person. You can like empathize with them, and also understanding that like maybe working isn't like the end all be all, and that's probably healthy. And so I think Alyce helped teach me about like that. I feel like I learned a lot at Drift, but I got to apply the learnings at Alyce. So I was like ingesting a lot of like lessons and teachings, and I'm putting them into practice at this new company.
Like getting to the next step. I love it. Again, actually applying. Thank you for sharing this. I really love the way you compared like what it was like in Drift, what it is now at Alyce. And I mean, different companies hire for different reasons, and we need to accept that. And also one thing that comes to my mind is there is just that amount of people who are A players in the world. Like most of the people aren't A players, not even B players. So, but they have some things that that they're good at, and some things that we just need to emphasize. And if we can fit them in the team, they will even sometimes give more than the A players can give. Depends on a mindset, and also the empathy that you said.
Yeah, totally.
So let's get into some things that I really like to hear your opinion about, because I consider you one of the, let's say, younger generation of marketeers that don't accept bullshit, and they are loud when they see it. I like that this is the culture that we are inspiring in Funky Marketing, because like we want to get marketing back where it belongs. Like there was too many years of madman marketing where like it was one-way communication, nobody cared about the customers and all the ethics, not even to mention that. But what is actually a bad marketing today that you are seeing around us?
I think bad marketing is always kind of the same, where it's just like you didn't do enough research for what you're like executing to actually be effective. And I think that comes maybe from like top level pressure, where like some CEOs still don't believe in the power of marketing, or like they themselves just come from a very traditional marketing background where it's just like do whatever the competitors are doing but louder, which is not how people buy ever, but like specifically now, in a time where like specifically this year everyone just has their bullshit meters turned all the way up. Like we can tell from a mile away. I think right now it comes from just like trying to be the loudest person in the room, even if the message and the messaging and the positioning that you have isn't good. And just like, I think a lot of people are trying to capture attention versus driving action. And so like you can capture attention very easily. That's not what marketing is though. You have to actually like have something to show for your work. So if your X gets this many impressions, but actually no one converts, then like that's a failed campaign. You didn't do it. Of course, there are exceptions to that rule. Like you can't attribute everything in marketing, but like if all of your marketing cannot be attributed, you're in some hot water. Yeah, I like don't want to call out like specific examples that I've seen because that feels very pointed, but I think just like driving attention for the sake of making a splash without actually thinking, like sitting down and thinking about how this is going to like portray your company or like your messaging or like the webinar that you're promoting or the ebook that you want people to download. Yeah, I think copying competitors probably isn't a great move either, because you're like people know that you're doing a copycat thing. I think, yeah, the traditional way of doing marketing is just boring or like doesn't actually drive action or is full of so many buzzwords that no one actually knows what you're saying. I think now marketing should be like clear, concise, authentic, which means that you're not pretending to be anyone else. You're just being you and the company that you are from and are associated with, and like working out loud. Like you can look up anything at this point. If you share your work outwardly, you're going to be in a better spot, just like in the market, but also like for your customers so that they know what you're working on. If everything's a secret, then people are going to lose interest.
Great. So many gems over there. I hope you guys are like using your pencils and writing things down or typing in. I'm like the writing guy. I like it, and you reminded me of one thing that is getting more and more specific these days, and it is like there's so many people doing so many things in the specific industry, especially like in marketing, and it's not easy to separate yourself from the other. But like you can sell, everybody can sell today, but implementation and results are something that separates you from the others. And it is exactly what you said. If you are sharing your processes, your results, things that you're doing behind the scenes, those are kind of the things that can make you different from the others. And like it's easier to be yourself than to try to be someone else, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now I would like you to tell us a little bit about what you do at the Alyce, about the company, about the industry, and going into that, also what are some of the bullshit things that you are seeing around specifically where you are at the point. So let's get a little bit deeper into that.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be fun. Okay. So I am the brand content manager at Alyce, which is a very like marketing-y type title, but essentially it's creating content that amplifies and opens the top of the funnel. So whether that be running our social media and making sure that we have a really specific voice on social and people can recognize our posts from other people's, or it's customer stories, customer reviews, and like customer marketing, which is just like making sure that our customers are in a good spot, helping create content for the customer success managers to enable their customers, but also like sitting down with the successful ones, hearing their story, telling their story, and then also amplifying our customers. So we have like a customer appreciation and recognition program. Every week we highlight a member of our customer base, but not who they are from 9 to 5. Our whole thing is the 5 to 9. So like, what do you do outside of work that makes you you? Because you bring your entire self to work, not just the 9 to 5 part. So that's just like a fraction of what happens. Like generally there's just like an event or an original series or something along those lines where I help with like the coordination and the planning, and then what we do after with that content as well, and how we repurpose it and distribute it organically. And so what Alyce does is we call ourselves a personal experience platform that focuses right now on gifting. So we all have received direct mail. We all have sent direct mail. We've all have hopefully packaged the direct mail to feel the pain of why you want to buy a direct mail vendor. But we take a kind of different approach where you don't send us inventory and we don't warehouse it for you and we don't package it for you. Instead, you tell us who you want to send a gift to, and we research them with like human augmented AI, and we scrape their social profiles with interest tags, and then we propose gifts in our marketplace of 30,000 merchants and say, we think that this person would appreciate this because of X, Y, and Z. And that kind of helps you create a more personal relationship with the people that you want to do business with, instead of sending people branded company swag as a first sort of moment that you want to create with them. Send them like dog bowl because they have a dog, or send them like a kiwi box because they're a working parent at home with their kids and they need something to entertain their kids, or send them like an Etsy necklace because they really like Schitt's Creek and they know, you know, that Alexis wears the same necklace, whatever. That was very specific. But that's kind of where the platform differentiates itself from other direct mail vendors, where you send a fulfillment and warehousing company your swag, your custom gift that you're going to send to every single person in this list, and they send it out for you. Whereas we're kind of more on the lines of like, you tell us who you want to send a gift to, and we'll tell you how to create a personal experience for that person through email and after, because you have all of these talking points. So it also takes a like power of choice sort of view, where you get an invitation to receive a gift. You can then like digitally see the gift that that person wants to send to you and either accept, exchange, or donate the dollar value. So it all kind of stems from having a recipient experience and like a recipient first experience to direct mail, whereas like all traditional direct mail vendors focus on the sender. And we are like, okay, but who's actually receiving the gift, and don't you want them to enjoy the process? That was a very long-winded answer of what we do. But the bullshit,
a very detailed one.
very
And
detailed.
yeah, I like you explained perfectly how we can use AI and customers first thinking to actually do something good for the people and help them. I mean, that's at the end something that we all want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope at least.
I hope so too. I think the second part was like the BS that I see in this industry too. And I think it's just like marketers being so set on the theme of their campaign of like, we're going to do this dinner at the MoMA. There's going to be a telescope in the room. And so we're sending everyone mini telescopes as the gift, like as the invitation to this event. It's like, does the CMO that you're inviting to this event need a mini telescope? Like, or is that telescope going to end up in the trash, and the only reason why you want to send it is because it aligns with your campaign? Like, in trying to convince marketers that like their marketing isn't about them, while we're all teaching the market that marketing isn't about us. Like, worst marketers are still always focused on themselves. So it's that like mindset shift of just like, you don't need to send the like kitschy thematic gift that you think you need to, and you're going to see that even if you do find a personal gift for someone, they're going to exchange it for something that they want, because there's no way that you can anticipate what someone needs or wants. And like, that's okay, because that strengthens your relationship. And so it's a lot of just like marketers, like, it's okay if someone doesn't like your marketing because you're learning. Like, now you learned more about them. Like, apply those learnings, make it a little bit more personal the next time. Like, use that information that you learned in your outreach to them of like, oh, you didn't want this, instead you wanted this. Like, are you interested in this thing, or are you going to see these people, or are you going to like see this sports game, like whatever. Yeah, just like reminding marketers again and again and again that it's not about them.
Ooh, that was something, and I love when other people are saying it without me having a need to say all those things. That, I mean, that was the reason that I'm inviting all of you here to have a conversation and hear another view of all the overview of the marketing, or what we do and things that we are seeing over there. So let's we're closing to the end, and there is also one thing I would like to discuss more, and it is like, if we have a topic outside of the work that we need to discuss more, what would it be? Like, looking at what you're all about, what you're talking about, maybe it's food, or it is something else.
Like on this podcast, or like in the world, or like in B2B tech, what should we be talking about more?
Like, anywhere, whatever comes to your mind. We are free people here. Just freedom of speech is something that we are supporting.
I mean, yeah, food. What that's like in my Twitter bio, I think is just like I'd rather talk about food. I think also just like talking about not really a concept or not really like a topic, but a concept of like finding that thing that lights you up that's not your work. And like enough with the small talk, like ask people like what's lighting them up right now, or ask people like what they're working on the side, or like what do they do on the weekends that just like makes them never want to have it be the weekday. And I feel like it's really hard to have hobbies when you're an adult and you're very focused on your career, but like even uh, going and doing a workout, because that's the only way that your mind gets turned off, like all of those things where it's like, oh yeah, everyone can talk about doing like mindfulness and meditation, but when you're ADHD it's really hard to sit still. And so like for me, doing a workout turns my mind off and I get really like pumped about different things, different like workout routines, or like the like new memoir that I'm reading. Like I don't like reading business books. They're so boring. They're so unapplicable. Like I don't find joy in reading like business books. So I think that we should just like talk more about the stuff outside of our jobs that gets us pumped, because that makes us a whole person, because we're not all just our titles.
Totally agree. I mean, I'm not reading business books either because I figure out like there is one point in each book that's different. Like 80% of them are kind of the same. They're using the same metrics, but the same templates. But also, like when it comes to reading, I tend to read like more comics. For me, this is something where I like learn how to write copy, how to set up the scene, how to set up the expectations, what happens when the other person joins the conversation, those kind of things. And I didn't even
Yes.
realize it like until recently.
Yes, that's so cool. Like that's really exciting. That's really interesting. I feel like finding those lessons and being able to apply them to your 9 to 5 is awesome. It just like puts the cherry on top of the fact that you enjoy doing those things. And it can flow into like the other 3/4 of your life or like half of your life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are spending so much time on the work, like going to work, getting back to work. I mean, now when it's pandemic, like we are actually not going to the office. But anyway, I was when I was starting to let's say learn how to accept the attention and those kind of things, like building the brand and being the face of the company. Like I felt that I need to do something outside of work just to get familiar with that. So like at the time my boss bought a huge like Jeep, and I said, okay, I need to do something else, but on a smaller scale. So I bought a bicycle which is like unique here in Serbia, like a cruiser, and
Yeah.
going around the city, people are having all eyes on me. So and I was like, yeah, and when there is a panic, when I need to be at my best, like okay, I'm used to that, so I can be more natural and like not kind of getting stuck in what I should do right now, because like attention is here, I'm living with it, so let's do it.
Yeah. That's so cool. Oh my gosh, have fun.
It's interesting, and also like I mean having a river also helps, like or a lake or a sea or wherever it is, like when
Yeah.
you can just relax and let the water take away your thoughts and all the problems, worries and everything that's
Yeah.
present out there.
As crazy as it sounds, I started to enjoy running, which a lot of people are like, what? Uh, but when it was like lockdown and we really couldn't do anything besides like take a walk outside, I started running a lot. And we have a river in Boston. We also have the ocean, but it gets really windy. So I was stuck to the river, just like running like around this river. Not like it turns my brain off. I could listen to a podcast or I could listen to a business book because I don't like to read them, but I'll listen to them. That's fine. But it's just like turning, finding something that's like meditative, even if it's not sitting and meditating, but or it like helps you like think more clearly, or like always had to stop and like whip out my notes and be like, oh my God, it just came to me. Like one of those things where like the ideas happen when you're not like racking your brain thinking for ideas or looking for ideas.
Exactly. I'm like, I can't wait for the like New Year's vacation because like when this happens, a lot of business idea are coming up because I actually try to get away from the business and then they come
Yeah.
up. And but anyway, like as a CEO, I'm trying to give myself a space to think a lot during the days, at least an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, for now, I'm managing it, and I'm also trying to get the employees in that mindset, because like we are doing creative things, and
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do them, to be able to come up with good ideas, and to do the job, like we need some time to think. And I think in a lot of companies, a lot of agencies, like people are really, do you work for 8 hours? Well, an hour of that can be a time to think, just to not even I mean, you can go outside for a walk, but also you can like just scroll, look at the video on YouTube, whatever it is, the thing that keeps you going, and like get
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts outside of the work. I think that's something necessary for all of us.
Yeah, totally agree.
Cool. So there is one question, the last question that I usually ask people, and it is: did we miss something? Is there a topic that you want to us to discuss further, or maybe there is some message that you wanna say to people? So here you go.
I think right now there's a lot of emphasis on in the marketing community to like band together and like build the largest community that you possibly can so that you have the support system. And I think that that's super awesome and impactful and like helps you like build confidence in your work, but like no one else is going to do the work besides you. And so like lean on that community to help you do your work, but just having a community doesn't mean that yet that you have done what you want to do or what you need to do. And I think that like maybe building a community could be your goal, but if it's to progress your career in a upward or horizontal direction, lean on your community for help, but don't get your worth from how large your community is, because having a small tight-knit group of people who can help you is just as impactful as having 1,000 people who might not be able to help you, or is more impactful than having 1,000 people that you're connected to that might not be able to help you. So yeah, I think it's not the size of your community, but the strength, and then how it helps you become better.
Love it, love it, and I love that you went into community, because this is something that I'm talking a lot about. Like we even have Jared Robin from Real Genius to talk
Nice.
specifically about building communities, and like I can give a specific advice on people here just based on like LinkedIn, because like the algorithm works based on it shows you more the posts of the people who are you in interaction with on a daily level. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have some people that are close to you and that you want to be interactive every day, why don't you like create a small group? We have like a small group of like called marketing nucleus from 4 or 5 marketers from all around the world. All of us have like a huge follower base. So, and in the group, we basically talk about day-to-day things. So just
Mm-hmm.
like help each other or give each other advice or just cheer each other if they have some problems in issues in family, those kind of things. And when you go to the feed, you see the post of those people. And when you interact with them, you get also seen by their community, by their followers, and you just expand on everything. And just by doing that, you get a sort of small community, maybe 4 or 5 people, but sometimes that's enough just to keep your perspective different than what it is on a daily level.
Yeah, totally. I think like they say your network is your net worth, but your network doesn't mean anything to you if they're not engaged with you. So you like need to actually have relationships with the people that you want to like be in your community. I think that's, yeah, like it's easy to like get really tied into the like vanity metrics of like follower counts, but it's really like the engagement levels that is uh yeah is like helpful just to understand like is your content resonating, but also like can you fall back and ask a group of people their thoughts and opinions on things, and can you then do some applied learning and like use the lessons that you've taken or like have wrote about or are planning to write about and actually do them so that you have not only more content but more context.
Not more context, more context. Great. I think this is the perfect line for the end of today's episode of Smart Marketing Podcast. Sara, thank you once again from being first agreeing to be on our Funky Marketing Top Voices list, and then for doing the podcast with me. Guys, I recommend you follow Sara on Twitter or LinkedIn. As somebody who is like a few years older than Sara, I'm seeing a lot of things she is posting really different and like refreshing, and that's why I recommend you follow her. I consider her as a leader of new generation of marketers that don't come up with bullshit that we have here for years in the industry, and really trying to change things up. So thank you, Sara, and thank you guys once again for being here, and talk to you on the next episode.